Any model of good governance and development becomes sustainable only when it is founded on public trust and confidence. As we know that there are more than one models of development, and similarly there are more than one perspectives on good governance. If you ask a constitutional expert what is good governance, the focus will be more on efficient and effective implementation or execution of law, constitution, etc. If you ask an economist what is good governance, then answer will be the most efficient and effective utilization of human and material resources or wealth of the nation so as to meet the requirements or needs, wants, desires of the society. The most efficient and prudent deployment and utilization of all resources. There can be more than one perspectives. If you ask any person who is imbued with socialist ideals, then what is good governance? It is about distributive justice. It is about bridging the gap between rich and poor. So there can be more than one perspectives on good governance and development. But what are the common attributes? So we talk about good governance and development. We talk about making the best possible and the most efficient and effective utilization of resources available in a country to bring a qualitative difference, a qualitative improvement in different dimensions of life of the people. Is social, economic, political, cultural. It means improving the quality of life for people in the simplest of the term. This is about good governance and development. But good governance and development is not only about efficient enforcement of law or for that matter very efficient utilization of resources. When we think in the context of a modern democratic welfare state, then it is not enough just to accomplish ends. In the course of accomplishment of ends like social justice, economic justice, political justice, welfare, development, all together, in furtherance of any cause, the means that you deploy, that means too should be sacrosanct. It means your ends and means, both of them must conform to the requirement of moral or ethical standards of society or the legal system which has been developed and delivered to the society, to themselves. So it means and ends, both of them have to be very much sacrosanct, and then only we can develop the trust and confidence. I mean to say, the relationship between the government and society. Relationship between government and the society is defined by public trust and confidence only when the government succeeds in ensuring that not only ends but means are equally sacrosanct. And once this trust and confidence is achieved, that gives a very strong foundation from which the government can orchestrate change in different dimensions of life with list of resistance, list of friction, and with cooperation from the society. So things become very much easy. Things become very much easier if you achieve trust and confidence. But trust and confidence, public trust and confidence, is not a fund concept. It is a flow concept. Just as development is also not a fund concept, it is a flow concept. It is nothing like destination, it is more about learning. So you have to remain very much active and vigilant from time to time. One needs to examine the developments taking place in the environment, and you try to synchronize with that the rising aspirations of the society, needs of the society, the problems being faced by the society, or to ensure that society how to avail of the opportunities within the country and outside the country so as to bring a qualitative improvement in the life of the people. There are a lot many things associated with good governance and development, means and ends. And once a particular end is accomplished, you know that another end comes into existence. One more thing that we discussed earlier, that if in the pursuance of any goal, purpose and objective and ends, if you deploy wrongful means, then the very deployment of wrongful means gives birth to two or three or number of new ends to be undeserving ends to be accomplished. What I mean to say, that if in the furtherance of any goal, purpose and objective, government chooses a course of action which is morally deficient, ethically deficient, which is not compatible or which is not in consistency with the law or the legal system of the country, Are getting a point? So in that case, many new problems will come into existence, undeserving problems. So you were dealing with one set of problems. Now you have multiple problems to be addressed. Therefore, in a modern democratic welfare state, we expect the government to focus not only on ends but also on sacrosancy of means. Up to this point is clear. Trust and confidence. It generates a self-sustaining cyclical process, reciprocal process between the government and society. I repeat, if the government if the government conforms to the requirement of honesty, integrity, legality, or for that matter, rationality or objectivity, dynamism, efficiency, economy, all such things. If the government conforms to these requirements, it achieves trust and confidence of the society that in the course of providing goods and services, in the course of accomplishing social justice, economic justice, political justice, the government conforms to all such requirements, then it leads to building up of trust and confidence. And once the trust and confidence is achieved, I mean to say, it is not a kind of thing that we have achieved. It will be there for all time to come. What I mean to say, if gradually the trust and confidence is achieved, that gives a very strong foundation to the government. And trust and confidence is about that cyclical process, that reciprocal process. So government, from the side of the government, you have a sustained flow of goods and services to deal with the requirements of society in different aspects of life. And from the side of society, sustained flow of mandate, the power and authority, sustained flow of mandate to form the government and to exercise authority, so as to provide such goods and services. And the process goes on and on. Trust and confidence is that force, is a kind of a bottom of force that strengthens the government. And if the government makes very honest and effective and prudent utilization of such mandate, then it provides the required goods and services. In this way, the process comes into existence, goes on and on. To that extent, it may create problem for other intermediaries. They will have to do something better than this to become the part of this process. Unclear? And that's why a government which has earned trust and confidence, it keeps winning one election after another election. Something like this goes on and on. The role of it depends in, and once the government achieves trust and confidence, government's dependence on media or civil society or various groups constantly lobbying for one other political parties, government's dependence on these agencies gets reduced. It talks to the society directly, and then society, having trust and confidence, gives mandate to the government, and the process goes on and on. Opposition parties can enter this process only when they come up with better promises. They also, it's not only promises, it means they need to convince the society that they have to come up with a better model of governance, better model of development, and they will have to demonstrate their good intention at some places. Then only they can make entry into this cyclical process. So good governance and development, it cannot be sustainable unless it is founded on and confidence. Trust and confidence is that force that actually makes this cyclical process to remain in motion. Clear? So building up of trust and confidence, and if we have rebuilding. So every government should try to earn the trust and confidence of the society. And there is also a possibility that the government used to enjoy public trust and confidence, but in the course of time, gradually it ended up losing that trust and confidence because of one other reason. So after losing the trust and confidence, then if you again want to achieve that trust and confidence, then certain reformative measures are required to be brought into implementation. Once clear? So this is something that we are going to discuss. So discussed earlier, how to build trust and confidence, that you focus on the governance is defined by honesty, integrity, the efficiency, economy, dynamism, rationality, objectivity, all such things. Gradually in the course of time, build trust and confidence. And if there is efficiency, if there is a trust deficit also takes place because of these factors. So there is a There is a lack of integrity, lack of objectivity, lack of rationality, lack of reliability, fairness, dynamism, transparency, legitimacy. You can also add efficiency and economy, all put together. So lack of this integrity and objectivity and all such factors, to it leads to loss of trust and confidence, the trust deficit between the government and the society. And it can be breached only by taking actions on these lines. So government needs to do something which reflect concern for humanity or humanitarian values, or government's actions should conform to the requirement of transparency and capability and reliability. So these are the things that in the course of time gradually build up the trust and confidence. So first is, every government should make serious effort to ensure that it enjoys trust and confidence of the society. Otherwise, just one term, 5 years, and after that it will be over. If you really want to sustain the process of good governance and development, then the force which is required is that of trust and confidence. Clear? And if it has been lost for one other reason, then it is required to be restored. And how to restore that trust and confidence? That is known as, we are using the word here, rebuilding trust. Rebuilding means that trust was there, it was lost, and once again you want to restore that public trust and confidence. And how to do that? Take it. The first thing that we need to emphasize here: how do you lose? How come that the government ends up losing trust and confidence? It is because of this reason I discussed earlier. Integrity means the degree of conjunction between intent of the government, what the government proposes, and what the government actually does. Government's action. So government's intention and government's, what you promise and what you practice. The conjunction between the two defines what is known as integrity. Conformity to government in the process of governance conforms to the code of morality or the ethical moral considerations, and then the legal requirements, the constitution and the other laws. So it means what the government claims and what the government actually executes. There is a conjunction between the two, that is known as integrity. And then objectivity. Objectivity means, as I said earlier, objectivity means the extent to which the action of the institutions and the functionaries remain free from the extent to which the actions remain free from personal prejudice, personal passion, personal presumption, subjective line of thinking. It remains free from any kind of arbitrariness. Actions in keeping with established norms, rules, regulations, laws. So that is known as objectivity. Objectivity. There is no element of, subjective whims and fancies. You are in the process of accomplishing something, in the process of accomplishing any objective, you choose a course of action. You choose a course of action, the consequence of which can be evaluated, the consequence of which can be anticipated. That is known as objectivity. That in the light of certain principles and values, you choose a course of action to deal with certain problems, challenge, any crisis, anything. If you choose a course of action, the consequence of which can be evaluated or can be anticipated, this is known as rationality. So rationality, then you have reliability. Reliability is something that you achieve over a period of time. Timely response of the government, effective response of the government with due consistency, gradually in the course of time, leads to development of what we call reliability. So government is reliable. Why? Because government has been very much consistent in responding to one other situation, responding to the situation with due efficiency, timely response, very efficient, effective response, and there's an element of consistency. Then somebody becomes reliable. Reliability. Then you have that two situations. What kind of action has been taken? Is there any element of to what extent the government or institutions of the government reflect sense of equity and justice? That is reflected in the word fairness. So there's fairness, and then you have dynamism. It's just not enough It is just not enough to provide goods and services, to deal with other problems, challenges, to meet the requirements of society. You have to keep pace with the changes taking place in the environment, within the country and outside the country. It means as as the socioeconomic conditions undergo changes, needs and aspirations of society also undergo changes, rising aspirations and needs of society. Accordingly, the government needs to bring changes in its response. There has to be synchronization between the performance of the government and expectation of society. The government needs to remain very much vigilant. It is just not enough to deal with the contemporary problem challenges, to avail of the opportunities. You need to anticipate things in future, and you need to remain prepared for the same. From the time to time, the government, it means transparency means share its intent, its purpose, action being chosen, how and why governance as far as should be with the society. And transparency is also inspired by the idea that in a democracy, people are the repository of all power and authority. They are the repository of all power and authority. They share their power authority. They share a portion of their authority in favor of any political leadership, and the government is formed. So it means there is an upward delegation of authority. So the one who is the repository of all power and authority, who is the master, okay, has every right to know what is happening with the resources which belong to it. Means entire government machinery, all the functionaries, okay, they are supposed to report to their masters, people at large. So transparency is basically based on this principle. Servants cannot hide anything. From time to time, they have to share information with their masters that this is the way and this is the manner in which we have made utilization of available resources. So government is not the owner of resources. Government is simply acting in trust and on behalf of the society. Mandate has been given by the society for what? To make the best possible utilization of resources in furtherance of the large interest of all. So government is not the master. People at large, they are the master. Accordingly, transparency has to be maintained. They have every right to know, how resources are being utilized, how the resources are being allocated. So programs or projects of the government, policy of the government, yes, there can be some areas which constitute exception, wherein the government cannot maintain transparency, government cannot and should not share information with the society. Those matters which are related to sovereignty of the country, security of the country, there can be some areas, but in other areas, information has to be shared. Then you have legitimacy. Government must be a legitimate one. Otherwise, it will not enjoy the trust and confidence. If you form the government through unfair means, you had actually lost it in the election, but through manipulation, you have formed the government, then legitimacy would be missing. Okay, wherever there has been defiance of law or the constitution or fair means, so in that case, legitimacy will not be there with the government. Then the government is not efficient. You can make two more things: efficient and effective. That 8, 9, 10 points. Efficient. Government is not efficient. Government is not effective. So if these things are missing, two or more or one or more of these factors are missing, that leads to trust deficit. So these are the reasons. There can be some other factors as well. So two or more factors, not necessary the government will be deficient in all these counts, but it means in most of the areas government lacks integrity or objectivity, corruption is there, government is not dynamic. There can be number combination of two or more factors, as a consequence of which trust deficit takes place. Now arises and society. Obviously, what will happen? It will lead to friction. It will lead to conflict. It will be very much difficult for the government to pursue the case of reforms or to bring change and development. So if this government, which enjoys trust deficit, if this government is followed by another government, a new government, new political leadership, so they too are required to pay the price for the trust deficit earned by the previous government. So trust deficit, which was led by the previous government because of integrity and objective and all such thing, that will certainly register its impact on the next government. So the next government and new government is required to work hard, and it is required to, it is required to restore the trust and confidence by ensuring that its actions conform to the requirements of society. And what are the ways? Now the question is how to restore that public trust and confidence. So the new government, or for that matter, if the same government wins election through one other ways and means, and if now it is willing to restore public trust and confidence, then how to do that? So these are the ways how to restore public trust and confidence. The first is humanity or humanitarian values. It means the government in its action, or governance, the process by which the government exercises authority. In the process of governance, the concern for humanitarian value has humanity or humanitarian values must be reflected of the government, that the government takes care of the sentiments of the people, aspirations of the people. Government is committed to the cause of justice. So actions of the government reflect that larger interest of society, a public interest, larger interest, individual interest is more important. It is more important than the narrow political interest. So whenever any tragedy takes place, instead of making effort to draw a political mileage, the government focuses more on the sentiments of the people, the problems of the people, their emotions, again, their needs and aspirations. All such things may be more important. So this kind of action, the government can restore, public trust and confidence. So the first is humanity and humanitarian values. The second is transparency. I have discussed in detail transparency. The greater the level of transparency in the actions of the government, the more will be the trust and confidence. So transparency means the government shares all relevant information regarding programs and projects, so the policies, the course of action, the intent of the government, the objectives of the government. So there is a constant, the communication is very much vibrant between government and society. You share information, and before bringing any law or any kind of policy proposal, bring any law or any policy, as far as possible, to the extent is required, the subject matter is brought in public domain for debate and discussion, so that the government could collect some feedback, and then the government decides the thing. So there are a number of ways. I don't mean to say this is applicable in all the cases. Okay, but in general, as far as possible, the transparency is maintained regarding the intent, purpose, course of action of the government, programs, projects, and the policy proposals. The greater the level of transparency, the higher will be the level of trust and confidence. Then capability. The government needs to reflect in its action the capability, the institutional capacity to deal with any kind of problems and challenges, and to deal not only with program situation, but to deal with not only to take program decision, but also the ability to deal with things which were never anticipated, okay, and then which came from somewhere, never predicted. But the government's capability to respond to such situation builds up a lot of trust and confidence. People think that the government is a powerful government, so they can deal with any kind of situation. Capability of the government, capability to carry out various programs and projects successfully, to take tough decisions, and to get the decisions properly implemented, to deal with the regular conditions, situations, circumstances, problems, and to deal with extraordinary situation as well. So institutional wherewithal, institutional capacity, the willpower of the government to overcome any kind of crisis, to create opportunity out of crisis, all such things put together are defined what we say capability. So the capability of the government, when it is reflected in the action of the government, that also contributes to the building up of trust and कॉन्फिडेंस. एक एग्जांपल ले लो आप, सारी चीज़ें आ जाएंगी. कोरोना क्राइसिस के वक्त गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने रिस्पॉन्ड कैसे किया है? गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के रिस्पॉन्स में ह्यूमैनिटेरियन वैल्यूज़ भी है. ठीक है, सरकार इस बात को समझ पाई बहुत जल्दी कि बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे हैं, पूरा कंप्लीट लॉकडाउन हो जाने की वजह से उनका घर कैसे चलेगा. ठीक है, दे वुड बी फाइटिंग फॉर आई एम से वाई टू से फाइट, दे विल बी स्ट्रगलिंग फॉर the food, they will be struggling for the basic amenities. मतलब वो चीज़ें उनके पास कैसे पहुँचेगी. तो वो भले कैश ट्रांसफ़र उनके अकाउंट में, या फिर फूड ग्रेन्स वगैरह हो, या फिर वैक्सीनेशन कार्यक्रम भी आपने देखा गवर्नमेंट ने कैसे चलाया फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट सबके लिए। तो उसमें आप देखोगे ह्यूमैनिटेरियन वैल्यूज़ भी है कि गवर्नमेंट ने सब लोगों का ख्याल रखा। कई सारे मजदूर कहीं कहीं जगह पे फंसे हुए थे, तो मजदूर हों, किसान हों, आम लोग हों, उन सब के लिए कई तरह की रियायतें गवर्नमेंट ने दी। और न केवल भारत के अंदर, भारत के बाहर कई सारे ऐसे डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज़ हैं, कई सारी छोटी छोटी कंट्रीज़ हैं, और उन सब के लिए सरकार ने पूरी मदद दी, उनको वैक्सीन वगैरह सप्लाई किया। तो ह्यूमैनिटेरियन वैल्यूज़, इससे ट्रस्ट एंड कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्डअप होता है। एंड सेकेंड थिंग इज ट्रांसपेरेंसी। आपने देखा पूरे कोरोना क्राइसिस, एक केस स्टडी आप ले लो, कोरोना क्राइसिस सारी चीज़ आ जाएंगी, उसमें पूरी ट्रांसपेरेंसी बरती गई। वैक्सीनेशन कार्यक्रम जो चला, 140 करोड़ जहाँ की जनसंख्या हो उस देश में वैक्सीनेशन कार्यक्रम चलाना, प्रोग्राम को चलाना, लार्जेस्ट प्रोग्राम था ये वैक्सीनेशन का, ठीक है। तो उस कार्यक्रम को बिल्कुल सिस्टमेटिक तरीके से चलाना, जिसमें कोई डिस्क्रिमिनेशन नहीं है, उसमें कहीं भी कोई फेवरेटिज्म नहीं है, कुछ भी, सब कुछ बेस्ड ऑन डिजिटल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर। आपका आधार कार्ड है, आपके पास मैसेज आ जाएगा, ठीक है, आपको ये स्लॉट मिला है, इस दिन आप चले जाइएगा, आप आधार कार्ड दिखाएंगे, वैक्सीनेशन हो गया आपका, ठीक है, रिकॉर्ड में आ गया, कोई कहीं कोई धांधली नहीं, प्रायोरिटीज बेस्ड। आपने पहले तय कर लिया कि कोरोना वॉरियर जो होंगे, डॉक्टर्स हैं और पैरामेडिकल स्टाफ हैं, उनका पहले वैक्सीनेशन होगा, उसके बाद इन लोगों का होगा, फिर जो एजड लोग हैं उनका होगा। सारी चीज़ें बिल्कुल तय है। बहुत ही ऑर्गेनाइज तरीके से गवर्नमेंट मूव की, और गवर्नमेंट ने अपनी कैपेबिलिटीज होगी। जब सारी दुनिया ये सोच रही होगी कि 140 करोड़ पॉपुलेशन, मतलब गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, इंडिया का क्या होगा, 140 करोड़ लोग, कोरोना क्राइसिस, कितनी जगह पे जाएं, किस ढंग से चलाएंगे वैक्सीनेशन कार्यक्रम, ये तो पूरा एक होलसम क्योस इस टाइप का कंडीशन। लेकिन ऐसा हुआ नहीं। परफॉर्मेंस इंडिया का कई सारे डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज से बेहतर रहा, वो हम लोग से सीख सकते थे। बहुत अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस रहा। Against the backdrop, that is against this fact that we have 140 crore people to be taken care of, ठीक है। अगर आप इस चीज़ को कंसिडर करते हैं तो परफॉर्मेंस बहुत सारा, गवर्नमेंट ने अपनी कैपेबिलिटी डेमोन्स्ट्रेट की। इंस्टीट्यूशन गवर्नमेंट, पब्लिक हेल्थ सिस्टम, पब्लिक हेल्थ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इतना साउंड नहीं है जितना कि यूरोपियन कंट्रीज में या फिर अमेरिका में था। उसके बावजूद भी विथ लिमिटेड रिसोर्सेज, थैंक्स टू द विल पावर ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट and very creative utilization of whatever limited resources which were available and the contribution from the different sections of society, सब लोगों ने मिल करके कैसे उस प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व किया, कैपेबिलिटी गवर्नमेंट ने शो किया। देन रिलायबिलिटी, और ये सब जब आप करोगे तो रिलायबिलिटी तो उसका कॉन्सिक्वेंस है, अचीव करोगे। तो ट्रस्ट एंड कॉन्फिडेंस इज नॉट समथिंग दैट यू कैन अर्न ओवरनाइट। ट्रस्ट एंड कॉन्फिडेंस इज समथिंग दैट यू अर्न ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम। By reflecting in your action concern for humanitarian values, people should be made to feel that the government is not an isolated entity. Government is an integral part of the society. Government is constantly working with them for their betterment. So humanitarian values, humanity, and then you have transparency, then you have capability, and then reliability. So these are the ways and means by which you can restore or you can achieve the trust and confidence of the society. Then one more thing is there here. The 6 archetypes of the government. A global research agency, Deloitte Insight, a global research agency, has proposed and said that there are 6 archetypes of the government agencies. So what, according to them, what can contribute to the building up of trust and confidence according to them? Simple isko samjho. According to that global research agency, government should be viewed as an ensemble of different agencies. Government is not just a singular entity. Government is a symbol of different kinds of agencies, different kinds of activities, different kinds of functions to deal with the requirements of society. So government is an ensemble of agencies. These agencies can identify themselves with one of these archetypes. Such agencies, some of them are educators, or some of them may be enforcers of law, or some of them may be innovator or regulator or adjudicator, then retailer. So it means different agencies of the government falling under one of these categories, if they simply conform to the requirement of that segment of activities, or if they carry out their work in keeping with the code of conduct, in keeping with the code of behavioral propriety. So gradually they will be able to bring desirable changes in popular perception. If each one of them contributes positively in their respective spheres of activities, then that will lead to building up of positive perception of the government. Perception of the government is not a hollow thing. The perception, people build a positive perception only when they see that agencies are doing what they're supposed to do and their actions have led to desirable changes in the lives of the people. Then all so it means like educator, those agencies of the government which are involved in imparting knowledge to the society, knowledge or a skill or some kind of vocational training or to improve also to, going for the capacity building, improving their level of performance so that they could sustain themselves, they could also contribute to the process of growth and development. Those agencies put together come under this then force ED, Enforcement Directorate, CBI, agencies like Enforcement Directorate, Central Bureau of Investigation, State Police. All such agencies are enforcers. They have to enforce laws, rules, and regulations. So they enforce. Enforcers have a very important role to play. Prevent they prevent wrongdoings from happening in society. They prevent crime, and if the crime has taken place, they respond to the situation with effectiveness so as to create the required deterrence, and they contribute in the process of justice by bringing those persons in front of the court, catching hold of them, arresting them, and bringing them in front of the court. So law enforcers. The higher the level of efficiency of enforcement agencies, the more will and confidence of the society. Then you have innovators. There are some agencies of the government which are responsible for innovating new things, like DRDO or ISRO, DRDO, and similar organizations. They are responsible for discovering new ways, new things, develop new technology for the growth, development, and security of the society. If they are doing their work with diligence and the sense of commitment within time-bound arrangement, we have seen how things have been happening in the last 10 years. And ISRO and DRDO, they are working with remarkable efficiency, one after another. Mangalyaan or Chandrayaan, also things are going on. So these agencies, I would say, innovators, they have a very important role to play. They build up a lot of trust and confidence. People repose confidence in the government that yes, we are also capable of competing with the best in the world in terms of science and technology, in terms of creation of something new. That is your innovators. Then you have regulators. You have government agencies responsible for regulating and controlling the activities within the defined boundary in certain sphere of activities. Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, or Insurance Regulatory Development Authority of India, Competition Commission of India, then SEBI, all such government agencies, they come under this archetype of. And then you have adjudicators. Agencies of the government responsible for adjudicating disputes. National Green Tribunal, all tribunals come under this category. National Green Tribunal or National Company Law Tribunal, or for debt recovery tribunals, another tribunals, all put together, it comes under adjudicators. If they are performing their role efficiently, they adjudicate disputes within time-bound arrangement to the satisfaction of all. Then to the satisfaction of the parties in the dispute, I'm saying why to say all, to the satisfaction of the parties in dispute, then also contribute to the building up of trust and confidence. And then you have retailer. This role consists of all those agencies which provide different types of goods and services to the society, whether it is water or electricity or for that matter telecom services and others, so BSNL or MTNL or Bharat Petroleum, okay, or different boards and commissions involved in providing services. So all such things or agencies put together come under the category of retailer. If these are the 6 archetypes, and if they provide such goods and services, if they carry out their respective responsibilities in the best possible manner, they contribute to the trust building.